Welcome back to Focus on the Falls. Time for our conversation with the superintendent, Corey Golla. Corey, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks, John.
I'm impressed with the district when I see all that you are weighing and all that you're juggling, trying to decide what's best for students and staff, virtual, in-person, hybrid model. A broad question, how are you juggling all this and deciding what the right decision is basically week to week or even sometimes day to day?
We've learned a lot fast, and we have a lot of information. We have a team that's really able to gather that information, flip it out so we can read it, our community can see it quickly. And there's no magic algorithm. What we try to do is look at all of the information we have. We're watching obviously community data, but how is this impacting our students? How many cases do we have among our students? How many quarantine? Same with our staff. Is there evidence of spread within the system or a building or a classroom? And you put that together, and then we talk about it as a team. And I also get feedback regularly and from our principals of how does this feel in your building? And then we make our best judgment, and really have been proud of the fact that we've been able to stay in that hybrid model for the entire year. And it got difficult here a few weeks ago, but we feel that consistency, that predictability is good for families and good for our students.
In the last segment with our mental health experts, we talked about the mental health of kids. I know you're working very hard to make sure that your staff and your teachers are okay too. That mental health part of the puzzle is a critical one to make sure that this whole deal succeeds.
Yeah, I heard them talk about anxiety, and that can be obviously kids, although we think of young people as being resilient to change, they like predictability also. They like consistency, and they're just have weathered so much change. So very proud of that team, our pupil services team, all of the people, and the teachers just watching for kids. How are they doing? Watching very closely. Do we have some students who are disengaged? And then just reaching out to those families and giving the families what they need to support them, to keep them engaged, and try to keep school as regular and predictable as possible.
We're going to move on to a couple things unrelated to the pandemic, but I did want to ask you about Christmas. So we're coming through Thanksgiving, families gathered. We're hoping there's not an enormous spike, and then Christmas families will be together, kids will go home. What goes through your mind as the leader of the district when you think about those opportunities for the virus to kind of do dangerous things?
Yeah, again, I'll go back to we learn a lot fast, that after Halloween we saw a significant spike as kids got together, families got together. So we're in the midst of seeing how the dust settles after Thanksgiving. That's why we went virtual for 1 week. So we worry about it. We're really trying to communicate with our families of the role they can play to help us stay open and keep that consistency. And I think to a large part, our families are very responsive to that. We're relying on them to report cases. But yeah, the holidays we're worried, and we want people to take this seriously and be as careful as they can. We feel like if we can get through the holidays healthy, kind of get beyond that a few weeks, maybe we can start getting better again and really being healthier as a community.
You and I have talked repeatedly over the last several months about the pandemic and academics and how they're impacted, especially with little kids. Are we getting any snapshots or indicators how the district's doing on the academic front related to the pandemic?
Yeah, our school board is very interested in that. We're very interested in that. We watch, as you know, we're data rich, and we're pulling all of that together. We're doing an update with our board on Monday night. I'm excited about the results. I mean, we've all been kind of holding our breath, waiting to see what's the impact on this. And what we're seeing is just, giving you a broad overview is, students are learning. Students are performing. I mean, they're wonderful. They're resilient. Our teachers are doing their thing, and we don't think that this isn't going to be years of recovery. We think our students are performing, in many cases, right where we want them. In some cases, just below, and we'll keep making those adjustments. But it's within the variation of what we see year to year. So that's great news. When we surveyed families early on, they're worried about health and safety, but they're worried their students will fall behind. We're seeing that large scale students are not falling behind, and we're also good enough to identify those who are and give them what they need.
It may be hard to generalize, but do you believe there's more risk of falling behind for smaller kids, for kids in high school, or are there risks for both and they're just different?
I think there's risks for both, and they're different. We saw early on, those early elementary, that 4K through second, we brought them back full because we were seeing they were struggling the most. Learning to read is very much one-to-one sometimes with teachers. Small groups are very important. So that makes a difference. Elementary in general, we keep looking for an opportunity. If we could get well enough, we'd love to bring all of our elementary back. That would be a priority for us. But we can't, I mean, those high school experiences, they're learning a lot, and and those students are, largely learning like they will in college, or like college students are. But we can't replicate all of those experiences. Our career-based learning experiences are very interactive, our academies and things. So, I feel badly for their loss, and we want to make sure we're trying to find ways to give them those opportunities as well.
Corey, under your leadership, data strategy critical first and foremost to the direction that the district heads. And that doesn't stop because we're in the midst of a pandemic, and strategic planning for the next 5 years or so is well underway. Can you give us a glimpse at some of the things that you're thinking about, that you're focused on?
Yeah, we had a great session with our board, an open work session where we just started to talk about where do we want to be in 3 to 5 years. What are their priorities as board members? They were able to connect on a personal level and realize they all have the same priorities, and did a lot of imagine if, what could we be? Some early themes. I'm excited. They seem unified behind these. We've been, and some early themes we're seeing is early literacy. I love the way they talked about the importance of the student experience, getting beyond just the data and thinking about the whole student experience and engagement. Career experiences, building off those high school academy experiences, making them even deeper, connecting with our chamber, all of the great partners we have in our community, getting those students. We'd like to reimagine senior year of having 3 years of preparation, and then that senior year being a foot in both doors of I'm still in high school, getting those last pieces, but getting a sense of what might this career or this type of work feel like if that's the option I go. So we're excited about that. Mental health is a priority for them. So I loved where they were at. I look forward to developing that with our full leadership team and them, and really narrowing this down to 3 to 5 key priorities.
I love the rich, full experience that you're determined to create for our kids, from when they first enter the district until when they're getting ready to fly on to the next chapter in their life.
I think that's the right connection. That's how I like to think about this is, when kids show up at our doors as kindergartners or 4Kers, they're so excited. There's so much wonder there. They want to learn everything. How can we hold on to that? Yeah. So when they're seniors, they're more mature, but they're feeling that same way, that they can't wait for that next school experience. How can we make middle school a destination, not a pass through? I think Dan Gebauer is doing such a nice job as our principal doing that. So I just want that joy, that wonder, giving kids more choice. And maybe we've gotten away from that a bit too much, and maybe we've learned that through the pandemic. Engagement matters most.
Corey Golla is the superintendent of the Menominee Falls School District. Corey, it's always good to catch up. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the time, John. I appreciate it.